Now we are going to talk about approval workflows for invoices. Approval workflows for invoices is a very, very important topic, especially on the non-PO front, because a non-PO is a two-way match. You don't have any visibility what you're paying through. So you want to get an approval. You want to get the coding instruction. Coding instruction means which GL account, which cost center it's being handled. And if you are putting a cost center of someone, he needs to know, he needs to really validate whether he got the services. Ideally non-PO invoice is no, 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 no for material. You cannot do material stuff because then you are screwing your inventory, and that's a fraud. So you might get services or taxes. Those are the ideal things for non-POs. Or you have lots of public companies which you need to pay broker payment, which you cannot really budget. It's based on the volume, and it's variable, so you cannot really budget it and put it in a PO. So that's why you want to pay non-POs. These is very, or you want to pay very emergency payments. Lots of times what happens is, I worked in an airline company, and they were saying that I never knew that in order to fly into an airport you need to pay the airport, because the airport is giving you that service. So if you don't pay them on a timely way, that airplane is not going to land on that airport. So at that point, we had a situation where they had to pay that invoice through a non-PO, and in those cases it's you have to, they probably, because paying invoices is in SAP, but actually the payment goes out from the bank. So you have a treasury department that did the wire transfer before, and then after the fact we adjusted the invoices. But this is very, very, very important, non-PO invoice. But for that you need an approval, and you need a multiple approvals based on, suppose if it's $1 million, you probably need an approval from a VP. If it's a small amount, it can be approved through a manager based on your delegation of authority, based on your rule you have defined for your company, for your spending. So in order to know about PO invoices, we have this. So anything, so ideally everything you want to pay through PO invoices, you want to uh, do through, you want to park it unless it gets approved through a satellite system, which can be a field class, it can be a homegrown solution, it can be Concur. So here we enter FB60. Okay, this is the process we have. Okay, so you enter an invoice, and most of the time the workflow is a custom workflow. Okay, so we'll just put 1 2 3 4. This is the, I hope this PO, this vendor is there. No, it's not there, so we'll find some vendor. You can always find vendors here. We'll find the vendor list. We'll get some. So we'll pick a 3 series vendor. Okay, this is not. So we'll just get a vendor. I know there is a good vendor around. I just don't want to stumble in a case where the vendor is not extended to a company code. So we'll use this vendor only. This is our favorite vendor, and here we put this vendor number, and I'm going to pay $100. Okay, and this is, suppose the GL account would be, what's the GL account? We can find the GL account. So company code 6. Let's pick the 6 series. This one, natural gas, $100, and you have a tax jurisdiction. You can just put no taxes, and let's see. I think the tax jurisdiction is going to hit me. The cost center is, let me, I can pick the cost center from that PO. Here I go to account assignment. This is the cost center. put this cost center here, double click, and now if I go, I probably need a material group, which now this material group is for taxation. You want to tax, and probably now it will ask for me. So this is the one. So if you see, the tax restriction probably came automatically because we have a tax system called Vertex or Taxware, where whichever thing which is hooked up and based on the vendor and all those things. So now what we are going to do is we'll see save as completed, and we'll say text needs to be populated. Text needs to be populated. It's just a warning, and it will go for approval. So I'll just pick one approval. I'll pick myself. So it goes to this person, and we'll see now this person has this. Now what is important is I didn't attach an invoice. So what I can do is, now there's a process for a non-PO. For every invoices you need to attach an invoice unless it's coming from a satellite system, okay, like a Concur or Fieldglass, where they have the invoices. So in these cases what I have to do is I click here, I double click, okay, and this is a custom workflow that we have built, okay, and we'll just attach invoices, okay, do display invoices, and and so here if you see by mistake, if someone says, oh, attachment already added, but he's trying to fool the system, okay, it comes back because he didn't really attach it. Unless you until you attach the invoice, it will not leave. So here what we can do is we will now not try to fool the system, and we'll actually attach a document. So we'll create attachment, and we can put an attachment. It can be anything. Suppose I put this Rico, and it's attached. We can show what's the attachment. So this is the actual invoices, okay. So take some time, because now, so one important thing in S4 HANA that you want to change for sure from ECC6, you don't want to store your attachment in your SAP database. You want to push it to a content server like a Documentum or OpenText or Taulia or whatever you want, okay. So here if you go now, if I see, this is, I have some attachment already added in the attachment list. So I'll just double click on it, and so this is the actual attachment. This is important, so I'll just close the current tab and I'll push this. Now what I'm going to do is, here if I see, now if we want to see what happened to that workflow, because ideally it should go away unless I'm locking it completely. So if you see, that workflow is completed now. So you might say, how can? Because it's smart enough. So you have to make workflow smart enough to not show stuff. So here is the smartness you want to build for workflows. So let's see, the this is not the number. We'll just pick up SWI2 underscore FREQ. This is a workflow transaction to check what workflows got triggered. Okay, so there would be a workflow C79. This is the one, and this is the one. So if you see this one, this got completed because it's not more needed to have that to create an attachment, because the attachment is added. So here is the thing, all the workflows in SAP needs to be smart enough. If there is a workflow for purchase order release, if the PO is released outside, that workflow needs to complete. If a workflow is there to release a invoice from a payment block and it's released outside, that workflow needs to stop right away, because it's of no use. The approvers should not get confused. They say, hey, the AP told me that I have it's released, and why I'm having this again. So it's annoying. So all the workflow consultants in the world needs to develop like this. Otherwise, he's not a really good workflow consultant. Another important thing we will see is this workflow was completely stuck, and I'll show it again. The workflow doesn't even start, or it doesn't go to the approver unless and until there is something this is done. So if you see now, it's moving slowly because it's trying to get the image and all those things. So let's see, we'll just finish this portion because it takes a little time because there's a wait step. Sometimes as these workflow steps are so fast, it's not even a split second, it's fraction of seconds, and it goes through faster than a database commit. So that's why we have to put wait step. So I'll just manually take this complete wait step. And now if you see, this will workflow will go for approval. So here you see it's now gone for approval. This is this, please approve the invoices, and you can see now if I go execute. Okay, so if I execute, oops, this opened. Oh, it bombed out completely, SAP. So there's some problem. So let's see, corporate CSD 130, go here, and I'll say this, and it will add session. Oops, let me take this one. I'll log in again. It sometimes happens. So that's one of the reason you get problems when you're working from home. I'm training from home. So if you're working in a stipulated office, yeah, your internet is good and all those things. So here I'll go here, group according to task, and I'll go, and there would be something for non-PO approval. And here is the one, $100. Okay, this is the one. So if I click on this, it takes me here. Okay, oh, I see the invoices, I see the attachments, everything is fine. Let me see, I'm a real approver. Most of the time they don't see it. Most of the time I'm a workflow expert. Most of the time they don't see stuff, so they just approve. So here it they approve, so he approves it. Okay, if I click on approve, now we'll see what happens. Now lots of times you might say, oh, I approve, but I don't really know I really approve. I don't know. There's always something called outbox. So if you do outbox, you will see anything like this. Now sometimes you might say, why this is red, and why this? Because this is a priority one work item. If you see, this is a priority one work item, that's why it's red. If you put a 2, it will become yellow and all those things. So now what we are going to do, you can see what happens to this PO invoice now. So we're clicking this document. So now it looks different because it got posted. See, this got posted through this transaction parked with this, and this status is now posted. Okay, it tells us everything. This is the posting date and all those things. So this got approved. So this was something that you have now. Once it's posted, you can't really change much. Based on your setting or requirement, you can put blocks. So there's something called payment blocks. Okay, so you can put a block. Then you can put payment method. Okay, by default the payment method is taken from vendor master, though it appears here blank, it takes it from there. The payment block, you can put different blocks based on this. So if you put a block here, so then it will not be paid and all those things. So here, that's the thing. Some companies may have a pay here which you can change. The pay means this the vendor we are actually paying it rather than this vendor. So this is something that is very unique. Okay, now from here you can see, so now you want to see what is the workflow overview. All the transaction, most of the SAP standard transaction has this thing built. So we go to workflow overview, and here we can see here, if you see who did what, and here also you can see anything like this, who did what. One important thing I want to show that is unique, it's also available in ECC6, but you can do it in S4 HANA also, is the Fiori app for my inbox. That's one of the most frequently and the most popular app ever built in Fiori for SAP, My Inbox app. So what you can do is, what we are going to do is we are going to create another invoice. Okay, and we'll see the history feature. So it's company 6, same thing, and we are going to change the amount a little, probably just to, so here we go, here put a reference here and just change the reference with $100. Same GL. I love SAP. The history we have been using this. The history is is could be one of the biggest reason you want to buy this software. And it was there from 1990s or 1980s. In 1990s, probably it was there. In the 1990s, I used to wear a half pant and going in schools, so I don't really know. So let's go to the material number field, and I'll put it here. I'll save it, but this is unique. Save as completed, press enter, and I'll choose myself as an approver. And the important part is, when you see this, we'll see whether we can do it through Fiori or something or not. So this is the thing that has got triggered. I have this invoice. So now what we have to do is, I'll log into Fiori. Okay, so Fiori is this. So if you know whether there is Fiori implemented or not, you just go in this, double click on this launchpad, this app, and it will take you to the Fiori is implemented or not. So you need a login and password. Depends upon whether, if you have single sign-on, you don't need. If you don't have, then you need it. So this is the Fiori. Okay, that's a new thing that has come, so we'll just click on that. Okay, this is my app. Okay, so I'll go inbox. That's my inbox app. So I'll go here, I'll see what is there. So this is my inbox app, very special. Okay, here you see it's very high. It says, hey, you need to attach something. So what we are going to do, we'll create open task. Okay, now if you notice, one thing I want to show you, there might be things called forward. We have disabled it using a baddie. Okay, because we don't want forward button to be available to anyone. Okay, so here if you see display invoices to attach, I'll go here, I'll click on the park document. Okay, and this opens in a new process, in a new way, which is called Belize. Okay, this is the new theme that SAP has built. Well, personally, I don't like it, so I'm back into the old way. So I'm just creating attachments. Uh, create attachments, and for this you have to have DMS installed. So for some reason we don't have DMS installed. So for this piece we cannot do it here. So what we have to do is we have to close this, and we'll do the attachment in the backend. So if you notice, I will be having the same thing. It's just the front end. And so now I'll go workflow. I'll just click on this, and it will take me to the attachment thing. So this one was the attachment. So I'll attach. So this was locked because I have locked it there. Let me go and go to my inbox, and I'll go hit, and probably then it would be locked, unlocked. So this one still in that space. So let's see. We have to wait because there's a lock entry. It still thinks I have locked it there. So we are going to attach the invoice in the non-PO. So still is locked. Okay, let me see. Let's do some trick. I want to delete the lock entries. Can I do it for myself? please. Probably not, probably yes. This one is the killer. Okay, it's deleted. So every this transaction is something very unique to the basis and security team. So whenever you are logging in, you're locking a transaction, you need to put a lock. So that's why it is there. So again, what I'll do is I'll do attachment. But before that, I want to show that the other workflow hasn't even started. So it started, but it's stuck somewhere. It's stuck in a process where it's waiting for attachment. So if you see, if we go here, and it's waiting for document attached. If you see, you want to see the graphic view, you can always go and click graphics. Okay, sometimes it makes meaningful, sometimes it's meaningful, sometimes it's not. It well I used to like physics a lot. This is like the anode and diode diagram, and this is what is the workflow looks like. So now this is it's stuck like this. So now what we are going to do is we are going to actually attach a document. So we'll create attachment, and once we create an attachment, and I'll go to desktop, just put and I'll attach this document. Okay, so once we attach this document, we'll see what happens to the workflow. So if I go here, see this attachment is still there, but this workflow will complete after some time. So this is gone. So if you see, that workflow is already gone or not, because there's a at the end of the day there is a program that runs in the background that will kill that thing. So it probably didn't make its minutes. So there is a program rs condition rscond. This is scheduled already. This is workflow program. So that basically this one, I'll just run it. That will kill some process. You see, that got disappeared. So it killed it. Now what we are going to do, we'll see what happened to that. So again, you lost it. You can always come here and get to the park document. Wonderful feature we have. Okay, you can see what are the workflows you have started also from there, like you are the triggering person. So here we see the workflow. The first workflow will complete and the second workflow will start. So if you see, before it was stuck here, now you see it's all real time. See, one greatest thing about SAP is workflow. This place is auditor's dream. This is auditors. No one can fool this place. No one. Even a person like me who is a workflow expert cannot fool this. So this is the greatest thing you have. So what we'll just going to kill is the wait step. Based on the system, it might be slow, it might be faster. That's the reason we have put the wait. And now you'll see it's with the approver, which is me. So sometimes this doesn't show up. It's just a right click and you have to select key on. So by default it comes like this. You might be confused. You just hit key on and you know what is the user ID. Okay, and if you want to know the organization assignment, you can see from, or you can click here. Doesn't show much because there's no organization overall view. What it doesn't do anything. Do you have something in users, recipients after forwarding? Well, this is a, but this is something we always do: key on, key off, and all. For sure, key on, not key off. So this now, what we are going to show now is in the inbox, my inbox. We'll go in my inbox, and this also happens real time, so it should not show that one. So here is the thing: you have it, so you see it now here. Here you have that you can approve, you can reject. Now you can see the document. So if I open, it opens this. Okay, so I want to see the document, what is actually there, and I can click on this attachment list. Okay, and once I hit the attachment list, I can double click on this document, and I can click on, well, probably the double click piece doesn't work, but so these have problems. Now what we can do is, so you cannot see the attachment. So now here, and if you want to see the workflow, let's see the workflow, who created, who didn't create, and all those things you can see. So here it shows the workflows. So if you see, if I double click on this one, uh, in SAP you are completely uh, have an habit of double clicking, but this is a web, so you don't need to double click, you just need to click once. So now if you see, this is the thing. Now we everything is fine, and I'll just hit the back button, and now I want to approve. So this is the approve button. Okay, so I'll click approve, and you have selected approve, and we select submit. Once you select submit, we'll see what happens to the workflow log in the backend. So it says, see, it says the workflow has ended, it was approved. Okay, and it's completed. So for now, let's see whether we have anything outbox in the my inbox portion. So here is outbox. This is the one that I approved. So here we can see this one. So I think there is no way to see the outbox in my inbox. That's probably one feature they might want to improve it. So we'll just see, well, from the, again, it's a feature that is there, that they have built, and probably as SAP will improve it further. So if I see here, I'll just check the invoice, and here you can see that this PO is now approved. So lots of times there are features that you can do. One important feature that the my inbox has is you can see the flows, and so here there is something you can see, show log, that shows what is the log, when it started, and all those things. Let me see whether I have another ones for approval. So these are different workflows. It shows who were created and all those things. So you have workflow log, which tells, and again, it's based on your internet speed. It can be fast, it can be slow. Okay, so it's not SAP's fault, it's your internet connection. Most of the time, let's be honest, if something is not working in SAP, it's slow, but in another location, it's fast. It's a problem with your internet connection. Lots of people forget about that, but it's not that SAP is slow, it's your internet speed is slow, because things have no, things haven't changed there. So the system is the same. What is the change is in your location, and what is the change that is affecting your location is your internet speed. So lots of times we get this problem all the time, so this is important. So this we covered the portion for the non-PO invoices. Now there are things you can trigger for the PO invoices also. Okay, one important thing that everyone, a workflow developer, needs to know, the first important thing is, for a transaction, what is the business object for a workflow. So in order to do that, you have to go here, click on workflow, and if you click on archive workflow, it tells you this is the business object. This is FIP for anything non-PO, parked invoice. Now, if I want to go to anything PO invoice, which is, let's go, because we created something, so we'll just go, we'll find something out in PO invoice. So the same thing, workflow, and we'll go to archive workflow, and here is business object. This is supposed to be the right one. So these are very important stuffs that you need to know as a workflow developer before you want to venture into the business object and others. There is a huge push from SAP to create class, but at the end of the day, 95, even 198% of the standard workflows that SAP has created is through business object. So class doesn't really come into, though there is a huge resemblance on object oriented. It has been there before also, but it's up to the customer. Customer wants simple stuff, and I think a workflow business object is the way to go. So this is the way to find. So I'll just show you for a PO what is the business object. You go to ME23N, same thing, workflow, archive workflow. This is the business object. Simple. This is just simple. If you know this, this is like 5% of your development is done. So sometimes it's very hard, sometimes you may not have, so in those cases you might need to build, but ideally every SAP transaction should be having a business object that is built. So these are so this covers everything on the approval workflow, on the invoicing part.